Here we go. We are live. Hello and the
Chandrayaan
Chandrayaan
3.
3 launch, which is just taking place live. The countdown has already begun. We are about 7 minutes away from the launch of Chandrayaan. So we thought, like, let's take you through what all Chandrayaan 3 is all about. And for that, I have with me my colleague Jigyasu and man who covers infrastructure and space and trains and everything else, Anish. Now, I know you haven't seen the FE newsroom very often, but this is the FE newsroom, and this these are the people who've been writing about Chandrayaan 3. As you can see, we have set up already. We have Chandrayaan 3 ready to launch. ISRO is already streaming the launch. You can watch that on the FE website. Go to our homepage, it's right at the top. We're going to take you through the launch of the Chandrayaan 3 mission. Well, that said, Jigyasu, so you and I have probably also covered the launch of Chandrayaan 2, and I remember the we had
Absolutely.
when Chandrayaan 2, at that particular point of time, everything went well till the last 45 seconds, and when
Yes.
that little blip that you saw on the screen that was coming down and it just disappeared, we knew that
Yes. Heartbreaking as it was.
things are gone,
Absolutely.
right?
It was just what about 2 kilometers from the surface when it was about to land, and that is when ISRO lost the contact with the rover. And so yeah, that was pretty much it about it. But yeah, I mean, again, so this time I think they are all cheered up and they have done the preparations are also very fine in the sense that they have offloaded and they have and the technology involved is also updated, upgraded
Right.
than what it was previously. So yeah, many things are there. Whatever ISRO has done so far, it is all on the point, and we just hope that this time the launch happens and the launch happens brilliantly and successfully also. And ISRO has done its pretty share. I mean, they have done it pretty rigorously, and the details were also all out. And we were reading about it, and we were talking about it in the morning also. So all of this is also very nice. And I think we are just 5 minutes away from the officially 5 minutes away from the launch. So it's about to launch at 2:35.
Right. So speaking
Yes.
about the costs of Chandrayaan 3, now Chandrayaan 2, if I am not mistaken, cost over 850 crores, right?
Yes.
So this time, I think ISRO has reduced the cost because I think there's some components which are not there this time,
Yes.
like you don't have the
Uh,
orbiter,
Yes, yes,
right?
and also, sir, the technology that they have used, it's abbreviated as SHAPE. So SHAPE is the technology wherein the load, the payload of the whole rocket that goes down drastically. Apart from that, since the surface of the moon doesn't support the GPS system, so SHAPE also helps them to properly land on a particular place wherein they can properly land, because the problem with soft landing or landing on the moon is that the atmosphere is so thin that you can't control the speed, so you have to depend a lot upon propellants and all of the thrusters and everything. So half minutes
Three
away
and a
from
half.
the launch,
Yeah.
we hope that this becomes as historic as as its predecessors.
Right. So you have Mr. Somnath, who is the chairperson of ISRO. He is there at the venue. We also have all the top ISRO scientists this time lined up. You can see them all in the ISRO control room. And this launch is happening at Sriharikota. Very interesting thing is, like, if any of you are flying to Chennai, just about 10 minutes before you land in Chennai, look out of the aircraft window, especially if you're sitting on the right. You will see Pulikat Lake. You can actually use your Google Maps, and you'll see Pulikat Lake. And at the end of Pulikat Lake, there's an island. That's Sriharikota. You can actually see the launch pad, from the air. So it's very
Amazing.
interesting, especially when they have some satellite ready for launch. You will see the rocket and all that on the tower. So in fact, I think a month ago they had a launch, and this thing was up there. So anybody flying to Chennai, you can actually
A
see the
sight not to
launch.
miss,
So today,
absolutely.
in fact, if you're flying to Chennai,
Lucky
Chandrayaan
fews.
3, you
Yeah.
will see the launch taking place over there. Okay, so we are just about
on the final countdowns.
3 minutes from the
Yes.
camera on the launch here. You can also watch it on our website. You can watch it on ISRO's YouTube channel. The launch is live. You can see the entire ISRO staff ready over there, waiting for the countdown to begin. That's the rocket. It's the PSLV, and the way it is going to happen is that we have just about a minute and 56 seconds left. So that's the countdown. Everybody's getting ready for the launch. So
Excitement is palpable,
excitement is
totally.
palpable. What is the mission, Jigasu? If I ask you, what is the mission of Chandrayaan 3? What are they looking for? What are they going to find?
So basically, sir, what they are planning to do is they are planning to explore the lunar surfaces for some chemicals. So once the rover is there, once they have soft landed on the far side of the moon, which is also the southern side of the moon. So once they land over there, the rover would start searching for chemicals which are there, which can be found on the lunar surfaces. However, they are not sure about which chemical per se, but then again, the search is about that. So once the rover lands, it would right then begin with the searches on the for chemicals on the lunar surface. So that's what they are up to this time. So they were up to this for in the last
Previous
time
time.
also, but then again things
Yeah,
went
I mean,
other
very
way.
importantly, you got to remember that Chandrayaan 1 in 2009 discovered water, or rather ice,
Yes,
not
yes,
water,
yes.
ice on
Water
the moon,
molecule. Yes, yes,
right?
absolutely.
So I think as far as space exploration and space history goes, that was a significant achievement for India,
Yes,
the discovery of ice on the moon, right?
and if this mission goes all well, we would be among those few countries in the world who have done this after I think US, China,
Right.
Soviet Union, and then of course if it's India.
Okay. So I'm just going to keep it on the
Yes,
launch
it's
as of
time.
now. And while we'll keep talking about it, I mean, there are a number of things that can go wrong. So, so this time around, they have taken care of those things compared to last time. They've had learnings from Chandrayaan 2. So I'm told now the launch area, yes,
And we
ignition,
have
you can hear the
launched.
cheers, and you can see everybody in the office is watching Chandrayaan 3 right now. And yes, there it goes. Chandrayaan 3 is a go.
India shooting for the moon.
Yet,
Stunning.
it's a clear day past the cloud. So this time, even the landing window, which is between August 25th to 28th, is they have to land on a lunar dawn. So one lunar day is actually 14 Earth days.
13, 14 Earth days, yeah.
Yeah. So they have to catch the lunar dawn, so the beginning of
Yes, yes.
so which is actually 3 days. So they have a window of 3 days in which they need to get the Vikram lander down onto the moon surface. And once the lander lands, they have to get Pragyan, the rover out of the lander and explore the surface of the moon. Right?
Yes.
Ooh, what a beautiful sight! It's going, going, going.
चंद्रमा की सतह पर अपना छाप छोड़ने के लिए चंद्रयान 3 अपने मिशन को पूरा करने निकल चुका है। वर्तमान में दोनों S-200 स्टेप ऑन बूस्टर सामान निष्पादन करते हुए अपनी निर्दिष्ट कक्षा की ओर बढ़ रहे हैं। S-200 motors thrusting simultaneously, generating a peak thrust of close to 6,000 kilonewtons in vacuum.
This also reminds me, sir. There is something very interesting. It's an interesting trivia in the sense that the Chandrayaan 1, 2, and 3, all three of them were headed by the natives of Tamil Nadu. So the Chandrayaan 1 project director was a native of Tamil Nadu. The second person was also a native of Tamil
Somnath.
Nadu. No, not so. So Somnath is the he's the person. The project manager, the project mission manager is also a Tamilan. So it's interesting that is.
Hyperbolic Earth storable liquid propellants UH-25 and N2O4. Now the S-200s have been separated. घटनाक्रम के अनुसार यह यान
So now we are shifting through to a virtual model because obviously we can't see it anymore. It has gone beyond the visible.
The yes, yes, yes. It has crossed the surface.
Yeah.
इसके बाद L110 तरल इंजन के साथ यह चरण सामान्य निष्पादन करता हुआ निर्दिष्ट कक्षा की ओर बढ़ रहा है.
Yeah, you can see the progress. A little blip.
These visuals are they do get back the memory when we were seeing it the last time Chandrayaan 2.
The trajectory of launch vehicle is closely following the prediction.
Payload bearing separated. Payload पे किलोमीटर की ऊंचाई प्राप्त कर चुका है. So basically, what we are seeing here is that as the rocket goes up, as it nears the as it goes out of the atmosphere of the Earth, it'll just keep on offloading itself. So in order to reach there with lesser weight,
Weight.
so that the landing could be successful, because this is not exactly this, but there was something which was left last time which wasn't addressed properly, which also led to the failure of Chandrayaan 2. So I think this is what we are seeing right here is that it's going up and it's offloading itself.
Right.
250 kilometers every minute.
So basically, this time they've also added a little more fuel on board
Yes.
the lander. So I'm told that if the lander cannot make a landing at the first attempt, the second difference is that earlier they had a central thruster which they've removed. It only has 4 thrusters on the sides, so it makes it easier to maneuver the lander because it has to land on its legs.
Right,
The
right.
third difference, they've also strengthened the legs of the lander. I'm told this time, so that it can take if there's a hard landing. Because the moon's gravity is about 1/6 that of Earth,
Yes,
but it's
yes.
very unpredictable because it's not uniform. Like in Earth,
Right.
gravity is more or less uniform across the planet. There you have
The
varying
atmosphere is also
gravity.
very thin, so
Yes.
the speed cannot be
So you
controlled.
cannot control the speed.
Yes.
So it might just have a hard landing.
Right.
So the legs this time can kind of absorb the impact. And you can see there behind me we're watching the launch of the Chandrayaan 3 live, and I have Jigyasu with me. He's been following it for the last fortnight, writing content every single day, and we have more
That's a piece of really
approach.
good news that the third stage has started its operation. The C-25 stage has been ignited.
जी हाँ, एक बहुत ही जटिल प्रक्रिया होती है क्रायो इंजन का इग्निशन, और इसके प्रज्वलन के साथ ही तालियों की गड़गड़ाहट से गूंज उठा है मिशन नियंत्रण
Right.
कक्ष. तृतीय चरण C-25 वर्तमान में प्रणोद उत्पन्न कर रहा है. पूर्णतः सामान्य.
So I just wanted to talk about how the landing would take place. I'm just going to zoom in a bit on this board here, so where I can just do a quick thing about the. So
8.6 tons from
we're basically going to do an elliptical kind of an orbit, right? So this is the Earth, this is India.
present altitude
Okay.
is the
Bad scale drawing. Okay, this is the moon. Now, what's happening today is the rocket's going up here. Then it will start an elliptical orbit, and then you will have a slingshot maneuver where it will then go and then start with the moon, start going around the moon, and then from here,
Okay, so this is the slingshot that they have been talking
yes,
about.
the slingshot
Okay.
maneuver. So basically, this is a slingshot in terms of, if you remember, as a 1 second, let me just zoom this out. Yeah. So as you know a slingshot, like if you want to let it go, you have to keep rotating it fast.
Right.
So the Earth, basically, the rocket has to keep going around and round and round the Earth, and only then can it get out of Earth's gravity,
Right.
and then it's slingshot over the moon. Then you got to do a reverse slingshot before you
then
can land
land.
on the moon.
Right.
So that's the process that we're going to follow this time around. Coming back to the Chandrayaan mission, you can see the highlights. Jigas, you want to take us through the highlights of what the Chandrayaan mission has this time, Chandrayaan 3?
Yes, sure. I mean, the so let's start with these are the highlights. So let's start with that. So the first that we are seeing over here is we'll have a rover and a lander and a rover. So basically, the lander is what they are calling Vikram, and
Why is it
the
called Vikram, by the way?
so this is to honor the Indian space, the father of Indian space project,
Vikram
Vikram
Sarabhai.
Sarabhai. So it's for honoring him. So that's called Vikram. And the rover is going to go is called Pragyan. Pragyan is Sanskrit for wise or wisdom. So once they are up, Pragyan is going to start the exploration on the surface of the moon, and like we were discussing earlier also, so it would be looking out for chemicals and some special minerals and chemicals on the surface of the moon. And plus, the far side of the moon, which is the southern side of the moon, is still very less explored by the country. So the only country to make it to that side of the moon in the first go was China. So
Right.
yeah, China
So,
did
so
it.
we
So
have the US, we have Russia, we have
yes,
China, and we would be the fourth if we
we will be the
land
fourth
successfully.
if this goes successful and if we softly land on the moon surface. So yeah, only four countries in the world, including us, if we become the fourth. So we'll be the fourth country in the world to accomplish this.
Right. So, so we've got a good 40 days left before it starts its descent onto the moon surface.
Yes.
So what happens at ISRO in the next 40 days, Jigyasa?
I think that these 40 days are going to be pretty intense for our scientists working at ISRO, because definitely there are a lot of factors which are involved, and it's only the science has reached to a point wherein we can figure out all these things. The anxiety is going to be way down, but then again, I mean, these 40 days are going to be pretty intense for all of them. This is going to be a milestone in the space race which is going on right now among all the countries in the world. So that also increases the pressure definitely on our scientists. So the 40 days, I would say, sir, would be pretty intense for ISRO.
Right. You can see the parameters so far so good. It's 208 kilometers above the surface of the Earth right now.
I think we can see happy faces because
Things seem to be
oh
going well.
yeah, yeah, things seem to be under
Yeah,
control.
here this is a specification of the rover.
Yes.
1 lunar day, 26 kilos is its weight, 50 watts of power. So it's a really tiny thing. Like it's the size of a vacuum cleaner. The rover, right? Look at the dimensions.
Yes.
91 mm, 917 mm, 750 mm, 397 mm. Basically, that's about, say, the size of the desk.
Yes.
It's about this
As
size
much
from
as it, yeah.
here, right? So it's a tiny little thing. The lander, the
The rover.
rover. The lander, of course, is pretty heavy. 1.3 tons. It's about the size of a small car, the size of a Swift.
I think bigger than that also, because today I was seeing the pictures also. So when they were taking the whole the lander to the
Yes.
position, so it's pretty huge, the machinery. And also, I saw a very interesting tweet also, wherein a person tweeted the first time when this was being done. So the lander was carried on a bicycle. So we remember that visual. So it was beautiful. And now there was some Twitter user who posted. So this time image when it was taken down on a vehicle. So it
Yeah.
was a tired vehicle, and they have put all the rail tracks on. So we have come very
What
far,
did the
I think.
lander? I think that was the entire rocket.
Yes, yes.
It's
So
a rocket.
the lander part of it
Yeah.
was like the picture that I saw just had the
Small.
lander part, but yes, of course, they had to transport the
The
whole of
entire
the
rocket.
rocket on it.
Satellite launch vehicle they're using for this. Here we go. See, now these are again some scientific terms. Perigee, apogee. Those of you who have studied science, you know what perigee and the apogee is. The perigee is the closest part where the orbit of the satellite would come to Earth, and apogee
Okay.
is the furthest part. So it's an elliptical orbit. So elliptical
Right.
is not a perfect circle, right? It's an oval shape.
Yes,
So you
right.
have perigee, which is close, and apogee, which is far. So
The farthest.
perigee, apogee. That's why you have two measurements there: perigee and apogee, which you can see on the screen,
Okay.
which they are which will be like, it's an elliptical orbit. Like I was saying, the slingshot maneuver. It's got to go round, 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 round in an elliptical orbit, and then finally, when it gets escape velocity, remember that term, you'll hear it a lot even in politics. So that's a term which comes from space exploration. It's the point at which you've got enough velocity to escape Earth's gravitational pull. So that's when they do the slingshot maneuver and goes like out of Earth's gravitational pull into space, and then it'll get trapped with the lunar gravity after that, and then it'll start
So that they can
doing
sink and then go.
a
Okay.
reverse orbit, and it'll go closer, 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 closer to the surface of the moon, and then at one point
Eventually
you will
landing.
have the landing procedure that will start.
That also makes me wonder. So where were you, if you would like to tell, when the when the second Chandrayaan was happening? So
Yeah,
what?
so
How exactly do you remember that happening?
So I remember, I mean, I followed the Chandrayaan 2 mission very closely from the time when it launched and it went into orbit. And I think that was due to land on September 6th,
Yes.
2019, if I'm not mistaken. And we pulled an all-nighter in office, I remember that day, because we were following it was a
They were
historic
huge.
moment, right? It
Yes,
was a historic
absolutely.
moment for India.
Uh-huh.
And the passion you could see everywhere. Everyone was like rooting for
Yes.
the Vikram lander to make it to the surface, and then you could see that line, and it was like perfectly coming down, and like yes, nail biting finish. 45 seconds before it was
Yes.
supposed to touch down,
Yes. It did went.
we saw a blip on the screen. It seemed like it was going off the trajectory. It then they cut to visuals of everybody in ISRO. There were 10 spaces.
Yes.
Then the blip disappeared from the screen.
Yeah.
After that, for 3 whole minutes, there was silence. We
Absolutely.
didn't know what would happen. I mean, I knew what had happened, you assumed what had happened, but sometimes it's like, for example, in the Earth's atmosphere, you have something called the ionosphere.
Okay.
Like ionosphere, in the ionosphere level, whenever something comes through that, at that particular point of time, you lose radio contact because radio frequency cannot be transmitted
Of
there.
course.
So when you have re-entry, when you have the space shuttle coming back from the space station and all that, the time when it crosses through the ionosphere, they lose radio contact for a while, and everybody is like waiting tense. You would have seen in all the space movies,
Yes.
or
Yes.
even
Yes.
any of these NASA missions that you watch live. There's a few tense moments before you say like Houston, we have contact again, and all that. They were like cheering,
Yeah.
all right, they did it. So that gap. So we thought maybe it was that, but
Right.
turns out they lost contact completely with Vikram lander. And what was seen later on, because the orbiter is still going around the moon, Chandrayaan 2's
Yes.
orbiter is still there around, going on the moon. The orbiter figured that the lander had landed a little about 600 meters away from its intended site, and it didn't land, it actually crash landed. So it was on its side. And because it was on its side, obviously communication was not possible, and even the rover was stuck inside the lander, so
Couldn't come out.
couldn't
I've
revive
also heard, sir, that
the land.
Chandrayaan 2 had a very they had a very amazing camera system on it, because of which they were
Yeah.
able to pull out some amazing images from the surface of the
So
moon, which helped them a lot.
this is the separation that's taking place. Chandrayaan 3 has separated, and it's
Amazing.
away. This is the time we say,
That's
Alvida, bye bye, see you, bon voyage, on your way to the moon. So that's it. That's the last stage. The Chandrayaan 3, the Vikram lander,
is officially on
the
its way.
spacecraft is on its way. It's officially on its way to the moon. For the next 40 days, it's going to be traveling through space.
The vast space to reach the
Not really. It's actually going to be circling the Earth for
Oh,
the
yes.
next 40
And
days.
then
Not 40
maybe
days.
escape.
Or maybe the next 2 weeks, it's going to be circling the Earth, and then it
Yeah.
will
Finally
escape,
escape.
and go towards the moon. So yes,
you can see
it's
the
on its
visuals
way.
of people
So
congratulating.
everybody
All
is
the scientists
congratulating
are
each other. You can
congratulating.
see the
Yes.
visuals of everyone congratulating each other. Like I said, it's Alvida, Tara, bye bye, see you, bon voyage. Chandrayaan 3 is a go. It's on its way to the moon.
The step one is over. I think now we
The-
all have 40 days to be anxious about it
The
before
most
it
critical
lands.
one will
Yes.
begin from 25th of August onwards, when we start figuring out that it's approaching the
See, we
moon.
have the visuals of Jitendra Singh, our Union Minister, Cabinet Minister.
Yes.
That's ISRO chairperson, Mr. Somnath. It is definitely time for congratulations. And that's the former ISRO chairperson, sir, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
I think yes.
So yes, as you can see, pictures, selfies all around. The excitement is palpable. And with that, I think, Jigyasu, we come to the end of
Yes.
the launch of Chandrayaan 3, and we wanted to do this little live with all of you all as well. If you have any queries around Chandrayaan 3, he's the man to look forward to. Over the next 40 days, we will constantly have content around Chandrayaan 3.
Yes.
We'll be tracking its journey all the way to the surface of the moon.
Yes.
And if you have any
And we
queries,
hope
please
successfully
post it in
so.
the comments below and we'll get back to you. And we will probably have another live on the day when the Vikram lander is going to be landing on the surface of the moon. Till then, thank you everyone. Thank you so much for watching and stay tuned to financialexpress.com. Go to our website, go to the homepage, you'll see the entire live blog there. Follow it and do share it with the others on your timelines on social media. Thank you so much for watching.